Ora see. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Tuesday. Um, Shout out to everybody that's checking in, everybody that's tuning in. Always recommend you guys to give a share, like, follow on all social media platforms. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and I think that's pretty much it right now. So, we're tonight's podcast is gonna be most likely, like we said earlier, it's gonna be in English. So, I see. Si pongan los pinches, ¿cómo se dicen? Los captions, the captions on the bottom of the of the um of the live, so you guys check it out. Um, today we got my friend Aiden and Devin. We got Chi-Town toys and collectibles, and also we got Styles Boutique. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. I'm pretty excited, man. We had I had talked to Aiden, and then I didn't even know you guys were brothers. I think I met Devin before you.
Yeah.
You know, I got some charms for my son and my wife, and then you told me, hey, I saw you guys together at the pop up last year. Um, and then we kind of that's where we kind of started going off on that to do an episode. Usually, I try to bring in it's mostly most of my guests are musicians or bands and stuff like that, but I also like to have entrepreneurs, people that have their own small businesses, people that have a very exciting story. And today, it's something different, which will for a lot of people that watch the episode and watch most of our content. But we do have normally with a couple friends. A big shout out to JJ, Luigi, Fry, Ulises, and the guys. We do a yearly episode. We last year we did two. We call it the nerd alert. So we talk about 90s growing up,
Yeah.
as Spanish kids or Mexican kids, um what we grew up, and then with the same thing we would bring our stuff, like I collect usually vintage toys when it comes to 90s stuff. And then some of the guys had toys from when they were kids. Still, they still had them, so
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. And we did two episodes last year, and hopefully this year we'll be able to get together. I gotta talk to the guys, but yeah, man, I'm really excited and happy you guys were able to make it today.
Yeah. Thank you for sure for having me here and my brother. And I know when I told you, I'm like, that's my brother. You're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. We get that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
they-
Are you guys like completely opposite when it comes to like stuff, or?
some things, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some things we have in common, but some things are different. And I mean, that's gonna be with everybody. But yeah, I know a lot of people are like, that's your brother.
Right.
Yeah,
They'll look
that's
at
my
us and they'll be
brother.
like, "Oh my god!" Like
You guys do not look like alike. No,
But-
that's pretty cool, man. You guys it seems like you guys come together when it comes to business and working, and and that's pretty cool, man, because it's not an easy thing, but you guys are like into the styles. I see that you just got the peso pluma charms and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that, so you're up
yeah.
to date to everything that's going on. That's pretty cool, man,
Yeah.
because it's a big trend. And when it comes to
Definitely.
what you do, besides your charms, it's like a never ending thing, because
Right.
it's like a style,
Yeah.
right? It's like a never ending thing. You get I'm assuming you get your customers coming back seasonal. They
Definitely.
want their
Yeah.
seasonal stuff, and they got to have a big collection of what they want, because they're
Right.
switching, Crocs,
Right.
or these all new accessories that are coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about more further along with the episode. But I want to get to know you guys. I want people to also know that we have the chat open. So if you guys have any special questions for the guys, if you guys have any questions or want to know anything, and also um talk about, you guys could ask questions about the stuff that we have. And then obviously we're gonna give out your social media platforms and all
Yeah.
that stuff, how they can order, where they can find you guys, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, and then obviously we'll have the episode, it's streaming live now on Facebook and YouTube. And then during the week, most likely between Thursday and Friday, I'll have the audio up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Awesome.
Okay.
So we could share it. All
Yeah.
all the episodes stay there. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, man. So yeah. who wants to go first when it comes to the interview?
I can
Are
go
you
first.
guys a
That's
little
fine.
nervous,
No, I mean I go first. That's
or
fine.
have you guys done any type of podcast or stuff like
No.
that? No.
I have.
Oh, you have?
It was a couple years ago. I think like 4 or 3 years ago. It was a podcast on. It was on Spotify. So it was similar to this, except it was not. You couldn't see me.
Oh, it's just audio.
just audio. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I have a little experience.
Okay. What about you, Devin?
No,
you
never
you
done
seem
that.
very quiet, man.
No,
You...
I've never been on like a podcast or anything like this before.
Oh, that's pretty
But
cool. So it's
There's a first for everything, right?
yeah, definitely, man. It's always stuff like this is always a positive thing.
Yeah.
You get new people, and you get you get to share your story. That's what it's all about for me. Everybody has a story. It's not just seeing you guys out there, selling and having your business and making it grow. But I mean, everybody has a story behind it, how you got here, the struggles and the ups and downs when it comes to having your business like that.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. So I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, for us, like you said from the beginning, in our household, we always had like if we wanted toys, we always had toys or whatnot. But specifically, when it came to like my dad is the biggest little kid.
Oh, really?
He's the biggest little kid,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
and
super
people
cool.
will see him, and they'll be like, "Man, that guy looks mean." But if you get to know him or you get to know what he likes, he's the biggest little kid. Okay, right now, he has Legos everywhere.
Legos
Oh,
everywhere.
He has
He has unbuilt Legos hanging on the walls.
the house looks like a
shelf.
store, a
Yeah.
Lego
Oh,
store.
wow.
I mean, so from the beginning, there's a lot of stuff that me especially had in common with him. Like from the beginning, like I said, one of the biggest movies that I can remember, like buying toys of, was like the Cars movie. That
Oh.
that movie came out what 2006 or something like that. I was probably like 4 or 5 at that time. So we would go. I remember we would go to the store, and we would buy 2 of each. My dad would keep one for himself, and then I would keep the other one. Obviously, I would open it, and then
Yeah.
he would keep his. So that was like that. That right there started like a little bit of like the tradition and like kind of the introducing me to like, well, hey, there's you could collect these things. You don't necessarily have to. And I mean, to this day, he still has all his.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have most of mine. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever I didn't lose, right?
Whatever you were able to conceive.
Yeah,
right?
whatever I was able to keep.
Yeah.
But so I guess from the beginning, like, with collectibles wise, there's always been that like around us. Like I said, he'd always buy them and stuff like that, or we'd always go to the movies and then he'd take us to a store and then we'd buy toys from that movie, like things like that. But I think like him also, I feel like a lot of times there's situations where there's people like, oh, stop spending your money on that stuff. Like it's just junk. At the end of the day, there's people that are gonna spend money on whatever they want. To each their own. Whatever makes that person happy, that makes them happy, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe in our culture as well, it's a thing where like toys are like, oh, like like
Whatever. Yeah.
But like I said, things change. People enjoy different things, and that's that. But like I said, when it comes to that, that's kind of how that started. I remember like before when I was small, I'd scroll through Toy Wiz. They just had a website. They had like every toy you could imagine, like everything. And I would just be scrolling hours and hours, like looking at everything and thinking in amazement, like, man, that's crazy that this store has so many things like in their stock. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. And I would just go like, oh man, I'm gonna buy this and this. Like
Yeah, you
everything.
could window shop
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's the oldest between you guys?
Me. I'm 20 right now.
And
16.
16?
Yeah.
Oh, you're young, man. You're young.
When I started selling stuff, I think I was 15, 16.
Okay, so you've been doing it for a while.
Since like his age, yeah.
So, like, let's backtrack a little bit. Where are you guys from originally? Like your parents? Are you guys first or second generation Mexican American, or where are you guys from?
So my parents were born here. We were born here. My grandparents on my dad's side are from Guerrero,
Guerrero.
and then
Okay.
my grandparents on my mom's side are from Zacatecas.
Zacatecas.
So
alright.
it's a mix.
So yeah, it's a mix. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you guys are basically second generation
Yeah.
Mexican American. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's where did you guys grow up?
We grew up in
Here-
South Side. Yeah.
South side
of
Chicago.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go Sox.
Yeah.
Sox.
Yeah.
Sox fan. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, you're peeping ahead. Shout out to them Sox fans out
Yeah.
there, man. And there's what is there, like maybe an 8 year difference between you
It's
guys? Oh,
five.
five.
Yeah,
Oh,
5 or
not too bad.
yeah.
Not too bad. So how do you guys remember normally your childhood, especially Devin, because Devin's a little younger. I want to hear from him because with
Well,
you guys, like you said, your dad you know introduced you guys to kind of like
yeah.
collecting and toys and stuff like that. Like you said, he's a kid at heart and stuff like that. So how was your childhood growing up when it comes to stuff like that?
Very playful. Like we didn't like. It's not like we grew up not having anything, or like we did make sacrifices for certain things. But I also think about like I was closer with Aiden. I'm more closer to with Aiden now than I was before, because I knew like we would fight a lot about a lot of things, or like we would have a lot of disagreements, or like I would be a stubborn kid
Yeah.
and I wouldn't listen sometimes. But I think like more as we get older, we matured more and gotten closer than we used to be.
Hmm.
I remember, like Aiden said, my dad, we would go to the movie and like he would take us to buy the toys from the movie. Like he
From
would
the
be,
movie.
like yeah, like he would be like, oh, pick out a toy, like whichever one you wanted. He would. It was like a traditional thing. We still do that to this day. He does that with my younger brothers.
Oh.
We recently went to go see the Mario movie,
Oh,
and we went
perfect.
to Target. He bought us all a toy. He was like, "Yeah, just grab a toy," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I think I still take that to heart. Like I like that he does that for us still. Like he's still keeping us, in that tradition, in that line of buying us toys, and keeping us like a kid still.
Yeah,
Like he does.
definitely. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty cool when it comes to that. Because how many siblings are you guys?
It's
4.
four of us.
Four. Okay, but you guys are the two
Yeah.
oldest,
Yeah.
right? The two oldest. So it like you said, your dad keeps it the tradition, but you guys have younger siblings that are being introduced to that now. And it's pretty cool that. And I think it's more of that you guys have the first generation uh, Mexican American parents, because
Yeah.
compared to me, I'm first generation Mexican American. So my dad was very, old school Mexican
Mhm.
guy. This. I mean, the same thing with us. I mean, if I wanted something, we wouldn't struggle to get it, or if we asked, and if we were good, we would get toys
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But we grew up in a different era. Very
Mhm, yeah.
basically, it was different eras, more about other stuff going on, and then like I didn't start collecting until I got literally like maybe like my mid 20s, bro. It's
No.
I started like getting that retro stuff or trying to remember stuff that I had when I was a kid that I don't have now. Now that you have adult money,
Yeah.
you're able to do that.
Yeah.
It's coming up. There's a lot of people that don't talk about this when it comes to like they don't conversate about their personal hobbies. Maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
like people my age, in your mid 30s. Like I don't mind it. For me, um, it's my money. I do what I want, type of
Mhm.
thing. Like you were
Yeah.
saying earlier. So I mean, and then I have a 4-year-old that I'm introducing to him with when
Right.
it comes to
Yeah.
that. I start
Toys.
collecting stuff, and he joins. He likes. I've taken him to toy shows and stuff like that, so he's
Yeah.
experienced stuff like that. He sees my excitement, I see his, and it goes back and forth. So
There you go.
that's pretty cool that you guys get to enjoy that with your parents and with your dad. That it's usually sometimes with us, like you said, our
Yeah.
culture, it's kind of different.
Yeah.
You don't see your dad mostly the time doing that type
Right.
of stuff, but I mean I think that's super cool. And then you guys made it into a business now, with everything going on. You guys got your personal paths going on. So
Yeah.
you guys your childhood was collecting great memories. um what was what let me ask you this: what was one of your favorite memories or best memories that you can remember that you had when it came to like getting certain toys with your dad?
That's a really
Or
good,
if you still have the toy too.
that's a really good question.
For me, real quick. For me, there's two times that I can remember, and there's probably more, but it'll come to me later. One of them was on Christmas one year. They bought. It was me and it was for all of us. They bought us a whole box of Lego minifigures. You know those like the blind bags.
Yeah.
They bought us a whole box of them, and they're like, okay, well, we bought the whole box, and you just split them in 3. Like everybody gets whatever it was, and that was like, oh my god, because like you see these videos of these people opening them, and they're opening all these the whole box, and you're like, man, how cool would it be to have a whole box,
Yeah.
So that for sure was one that I always remember, and we still have those Lego minifigures. I still have them. Another time that I remember, like one toy that I was like, man, was I don't even know what year it was, but it was Optimus Prime. It was from one of the Transformers movies, and it was like this big, like it was huge. Like it would like go build how the Transformers are. You would build them and stuff like that.
Was it a
Unfortunately, I don't
Legos
have it.
Transformer?
No, it was
Or a
just a regular
regular?
Transformer.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I don't have it.
Yeah.
No,
You
I
know,
found it at a show we went to, but they wanted
Too much
way
money.
more than what it cost my parents. So,
Yeah, definitely.
so I'm like, not now.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually. But
So for me, I do remember the Lego minifigures one. I think that one was one of my favorite moments. Another one would be like again with the whole movies thing. I think the one of the last times we went to Toys R Us before they closed down,
Yeah.
I bought the Coco it was a Coco house, and I still have that house in the basement.
yeah?
Yeah. So I still have that. That's like a relic to me because like it was the last toy I bought from Toys R Us, and that was the store we would always go to buy toys. So I think that's a toy. I still have it, and so like I still like play with it here and there, and so yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Toys R Us. That became like almost like a fossil
yeah,
type thing
yeah.
because it just slowly vanished. Back
Mhm.
then I remember going to Toys R Us myself. Seeing the Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy
Mhm.
Advance
Yeah.
games at Toys R Us. Just aisles and aisles of toys, bikes, and all that, Power Wheels, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And like for Toys R Us, my favorite thing was we would go. My dad would take us. I don't know if you know the Disney. What was it called? Disney Infinity.
Definitely.
They would have those like little characters like that you would buy for the game. So like every couple of weeks or so, they would release new ones, and if we wanted, we'd be like, oh man, like we need to go. And sometimes they'd be like, no, we can't, or something be like, ah, let's go, and we'll go and buy them. We would have to go like the day off to get whenever they would do events like that, so like
I
that.
remember the Pokemon cards.
Or like they would have like they
Oh,
release new
free.
Pokemon and they give out free like
Cards.
cards like commemorative cards like things like that like events like that like even my mom would took us when Kmart was still
I
around.
remember the
They
Hot
would do
Wheels.
they would do Hot Wheels events. What they would do was they would have those fresh cases of Hot Wheels, and then they hand out tickets. Okay, who's first? Because obviously everybody wants the best cars.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were the first one, so we got to open the box first, and we got to pick out whatever we wanted. So like things like that, like those kind of events that they would do at the stores at least. And like you said, nowadays they don't do those no more. Target even like for Star Wars, they would call them Force Fridays.
Oh
They would open the stores like at midnight or something.
Oh, really?
I remember. I mean, my dad used to work like in the mornings really early, and I remember we were like, man, we want to go. He was like, all right, well, you're gonna have to wake me up though. We'll go, and knowing that he had barely got any freaking sleep, but he'd still take us. We woke if we woke him up, he'd take us.
Oh, wow.
So-
That's pretty cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
those are some fun memories too that I just remember right now.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, um, how do you start? Like you said, you started at an early age. Um, what 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 do you remember that gave that step or that path that started building when it comes now to, or how did you started collecting when it came to that? Like besides your childhood, like the older you got, like what when once you started making a little bit of money
Yeah.
or you got start having that certain allowance where you're able to buy certain things, how did that start?
Yeah. Well, first, I think like a big thing, a big part of that is that we've always come from a family that works, and that's one thing that we've heard countless times. If you don't work, you're not gonna have nothing,
right.
right? So, for us, that was something that was really instilled in us from the start. My grandpa, he has a lonchera, so that's his own business. So
Oh.
he'd go and he has a route. He sells food and stuff like that. So, I was probably 14 or 15 or something like that, and I would go help him. So he'd pick me up early in the morning. We'd spend the whole day just going to different stops, and I'd pretty much help him serve the food, ring people out, whatever. So from that, I think was a big like got my head turning like how oh there's other things you could do like than the conventional way of working or living. So that was one thing. I did that for maybe like 2 years or so. Then he stopped doing that route. He still does a lonchera to this day. So I think that experience, along with I would go with my other grandma to sell at a puesto at the Swaparama on the 47 in Ashland.
Okay.
We'd sell the ropa vaquera.
Oh, nice.
So I'd go with her every Saturday, Sunday sometimes, and I mean I just help her like, hey, help me. There would be something, there'd be a lot of people, help me ring them out or help them find this and like that. just getting experience of customer service, dealing with having a lot of people bombard you, dealing with that. So I think that was kind of like a background to what eventually came. When it comes to like the collectibles, how it really started was I remember there was one specific release that came out. It was when Toys R Us released the Jeffrey Pop, the mascot.
Oh,
I
okay.
went to the store to buy
What
one.
year was that? Do you remember?
That had to have been maybe 2016, 2017,
16.
or 18,
'Cause
around that time.
I was trying to figure out when the Funko Pop started. Was it around that
The
time or
pop,
was before that?
no,
Like 2010
the
was it?
pop started 2010, 2011.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't collect around that time. I wasn't that
No,
early.
Yeah,
I've been collecting a
pretty
long time,
early.
but not that early. Um, so specifically, I remember that I went, got mine, and I ended up buying an extra one, and then I ended up selling that one, and I sold it for not like a ridiculous amount, but I sold it where I pretty much got mine for free. So I'm like, oh,
Did
like
you buy just one?
no, I bought two.
Oh, you bought
So
two
I
of
bought
them.
two. So I sold one of them, but I kept one for myself. So at that, I was like, man, like if I do this for everything I want, I pretty much be able to get whatever I want without having to really pay for it, even though you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it kind of stemmed from that. I would go to the store, we would buy stuff and then sell it, and little by little, eventually we got like the wholesale account, which was a big thing for me. And went from there. And like we talked about before, a lot of these events that we sell at now were events that we would go with my dad. There's a show on 79th and Oquito in Bridgeview. It's called ToyCon. We'd go there all the time, every month. He'd take us pretty much every month. We'd go it would be Sundays or Saturdays. He'd take us. We went from going there when I was small, maybe I was like 10 years old, to selling there, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think for like the start, that's really like how it started.
Had it all started just
Yeah.
buying two, selling one, and
Yeah.
then you make your money back
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, and then I realized like, well, hey, I could just keep doing it, like rinse and repeat type of deal, and eventually at that point that's how I was able to get stuff for myself.
Okay.
You know.
And you said you were about like 15 years old?
Yeah, I was probably like 15, 14 around that age. Yeah.
And from there, how many years did you do that before you actually started making it a business?
I probably did that for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then after that, that's when I was able to get the wholesale account, and then we started, more. Yeah.
Did you mark it out as a business?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, even when I would just resell, I still marketed it as a business. It was 2017. So that was what, 6 years ago? Almost? Like that.
Just about?
Yeah, about 6 years ago. So that specifically was that year. I made the logo. I made it myself.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice, but it was really like, I guess I made it really bootlegged. I made it like no no experience in that field. I just kind of made it.
Yeah.
The name, I just kind of thought about, oh, what can I do?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's how it started from there.
And once you started doing that, how was that big push that you ended up having so much inventory? How did that did you ended up the saving up that money and then investing certain amount into getting stuff that you needed, or were you starting to get like customers get requests, you started slowly getting in, getting what they needed? Or how did you become, before actually going into these big shows, were
Yeah.
you like the pop plug for
Yeah.
certain people?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that, because it's I like to talk about
Yeah.
the before
Yeah.
making it to where you are now.
So in the beginning, we would just pre-pandemic everything was different because there was inventory everywhere. So we'd place orders, and then you were kind of the thing is that it was really tricky. You were kind of guaranteed to get it. You might, not. So
Okay.
it was just tricky. In the beginning, we would just order stuff and then we go to events and sell it. Then once I got more comfortable with the way everything was working, I said, hey, we got the website. We put up pre-orders, and then now that I know that I'm gonna have this stuff coming in, we'll make it a pre-order. We'll sell it before we even get it.
Yeah.
Once it gets here, we just ship it out. So we kind of did that for a long time. Before that was kind of like a lot of people like to do the pre-orders, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people like to wait till they see it in person. Me, I like to wait till I see it in person, unless I know it's something that is gonna sell out, and I'm not gonna be able to find it anywhere. If I know I'm gonna be able to find it somewhere, then you can just wait. but that's what we would do, just pre-orders. We wouldn't really like I would just kind of order in the beginning. I would really only order what I thought like was sell because I didn't want to be stuck with so much stuff, and
Yeah.
especially because I started with no money really.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing, you know. Maybe now we order more random stuff here and there just to see what sells, what doesn't sell. But in the beginning, I was more really careful on what I would order because I didn't want to be stuck with all this stuff in the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it went from there. It was just kind of like, you know, we did the pre-orders, and then whatever we didn't sell, we just would go to events, sell it there, and that was it in the beginning.
And what was the? Do you remember your first event starting to go as a seller? What did you sell? How big was the table? Stuff like that.
Well, one of the first events the first event we did was at a store in Frankfurt, and it's the store is still there. It's called Amazing Fantasy and Comic Book, something like that. We had a table maybe half the size of this, and it was
Was
not
small?
even full yet.
Okay.
So it was just whatever I had at the time, whatever I had bought, it was there. And I'm telling you, it was literally probably half this table. I have the picture at home framed
Oh, nice.
because I mean, you know, considering some of the events that we've done,
Yeah.
we that's literally was the first event, and that was a small event. It was outside, like just like a kind of like a trade thing, but I mean, we sold. I remember we sold decent for being. I was happy with anything at that point. I could have sold $20. I would have been happy, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my dad went with me to that one too. And a lot of them in the beginning he had to because I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
So one
Well, I
time,
mean, luckily he was very supportive. Though,
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
came to that, you know.
Yeah,
and
not-
by what you're talking to me about is that your parents are supportive.
Yeah.
On what you guys do, you know, and that's a big thing, you know, when it
Mhm.
comes to like if you're a family orientated person, you know, your family supports you guys. That's like one of the biggest things
for
that
sure.
counts.
Yeah, for sure. Because if not, I don't know
Right.
what I would have done. I mean, once I could drive, he's like, "Oh, you're on your own, right?"
Yeah, he's like I'm tired of taking.
Yeah, I
you-
mean,
you
but-
can go.
Yeah. So sometimes I don't blame him.
And back then, pre-COVID, because it was like complete different ball game pre-COVID. How were the prices, or how did you base off your prices back then into what were you sell like stuff that you were selling?
When I look back, like right now, when I look back at the prices of stuff we were selling before, I'm like, holy, you know, shit. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe it, because back then things were more cheaper. You'd have $9 pops, $8 pops, $10 pops. Some people had them maybe $7. Now you won't find them less than 12. You literally just can't.
There's like a base.
Yeah, you
there's
literally-
like a standard base of
Yeah,
12.
because if
or
you don't sell them, if
14.99.
you sell them for less than 12, you're literally making probably like $1. I'm like not even joking. Like
Mm.
there's not that much there to make. But before everything was cheaper, the shipping was cheaper, everything was faster, easier to get, so people were able to have more leeway. So and that was the thing. Once the pandemic happened and everything started going up, people were like, "Oh man, like, but this was just this much last year." I'm like, "I know, but I can't sell it for that much right
Yeah.
now. I
No,
can't."
and the thing is that it's either the demand or they don't make it anymore, and then you know the less there are, the more the price
Yeah.
go up. So back then, how would you base your price on your stock or your inventory? How did you use a website that said what was going at a certain price, or were you looking at eBay or stuff like that? How did you find or the Funko app? Now,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, I go based off of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Before on certain stuff, like if it was exclusive or chases or more than that, we'd go based off maybe the price guide or the Funko app. Back then it was called Stashpedia. It was called something different.
Oh wow.
So on some stuff I'd go based off that. But if it was stuff that we were getting like wholesale, it would be standard, whatever it was at the time. So if they were retailing for $9.99, we'd have them for $10, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But if they were other than that, I'd kind of just myself just decide, okay, boom, 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 this and that. But it would mostly be tied around that, like the apps sometimes.
The apps.
And right now I know a lot of the apps are really like not correct on some stuff,
Mhm.
but before they were a little bit more reliable
More accurate.
than now. Yeah, for sure.
And let's start with Devin, because I think we're almost getting to the space where we're gonna go to like the big, how you guys start going to those big important shows, you know. So how did you end up getting interested in selling, you know, charms and all the stuff that you have now? How did you get into all this?
I think my more inspiration came from Aiden. I would always, since I was like 13, 14, I would go with him to all his events. My brother teases me all the time. He was like, "You always go with Aiden. Like, why can't I go?" And I'm like, "Well, he needs more of my help than he needs yours."
Yeah.
So I would always go with him. I would see the hecticness, like, and like I honestly sometimes get that adrenaline rush where I'm like, okay, like I like this. I
Yeah.
like talking to people. I'm a really talkative person. Like if you really get to know me, I talk a lot.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I liked going with him, helping him out, packing up, bringing the boxes in, all that good stuff. I like helping him a lot. And I remember it hasn't even been I haven't been even doing this for a year yet. So I remember last year I talked to my mom. I was like, okay, I'm ready to do something on my own. I'm ready to maybe start something. I'm not sure if it's good. I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but this is my proposal to you. This is what I'm gonna tell you. And so I gave her the idea, and she told me, she was like, yeah. And the idea also kind of came from her because she was always she always was in that like little girl world where like she wanted certain earrings, she wanted certain things. So she kind of gave me the idea of like doing with jewelry and all that stuff. And I was like, well, what's hot right now? Like, what can I maybe like do? And so I thought about it. I was like, oh, like Crocs or like Croc charms, like those things. Like, I'm sure like you can get like cool ones. Like, people will want them.
Yeah.
And so I remember I got a few, and then I didn't have any social media yet. So then my mom helped me out. She posted on like on her Snapchat and her Instagram. She was like, "Oh, my son's selling these Croc charms. Buy them from him." And it did go pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
it surprisingly did go really good. And then I remember after that, I told my mom, I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to go more. Like, I want more things. I don't want just Croc charms. I need more. Like, I want to make more money." So that's why I started getting, earrings, jewelry, and all that stuff. And like how you said, like I keep up to date. I'm kind of really good with that.
Yeah.
I see what's hot. So like, I remember when Bad Bunny was really hot.
Yeah.
I would be constantly ordering Bad Bunny charms
And they would fly, right?
out of my hands. Like I wouldn't keep track.
Yeah.
And like my brother would be like, "What are you ordering now?" I'm like, "More Bad Bunny." He's like, "Well, you have more?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's
And I
selling
mean,
right now."
and that's the biggest thing. If in everything, if you don't keep up with what's popular, you're
Yeah.
gonna get left behind.
Yeah, you are.
That-
Yeah, you
that's
gotta
the truth.
either
You have to keep up.
You
Yeah.
jump on the wagon and
Mhm.
and you gotta be every day,
Yeah.
right? You're
Oh,
always
yeah.
checking every day what's hot.
Right.
It's a lot of social media stuff is going. TikTok
Definitely.
is a big thing right
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see a lot of sellers. There's you can say there's a decent amount of competition, but here in Chicago, I normally don't really see it as much. I see I think that's last year I think that's where I started buying charms from you. I think
I think so.
it was one of, I can't remember if it was, what show it was. I had seen and I stopped by. I want to say it was out in St. Charles.
It was probably the King County, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably
Probably
that
that.
where I saw you, and I saw like charms, and then you had like the concha
Yeah.
and all the Mexican charms, and you had a couple of Bad Bunny stuff, and I took some pictures and I sent it to my wife, and then I saw some kids stuff, and my son has 2-3
Crocs.
pairs of
Yeah.
Crocs, and then I was like, hey, look, and then I asked for the price, great prices. And she was like, "Oh, we'll get 3 for me and get 3 for Max." Um, so I just started,
Yeah.
and then I followed you that same day once I saw the picture, and then every time I would see him at the at the, I saw him again a couple months later there too, I think, and then I bought more.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's going to those shows. That's where you could, I started following you and seeing, and then so basically being up to date with what's going on, and then I saw that you had with social media you're also posting what your new stuff,
Right. Yeah.
like at a time. Well, what was it last year when you had all the Bad Bunny? That was when he was doing that big tour, right?
Yeah.
So it was just
Yeah.
it's just hectic
Yeah.
when it came to that.
Yeah.
And then
It was.
here's a question: how did the Grupo Firme charms work for you? Was that okay? Did you do good on
Those
those?
were good.
Yeah.
It's funny with the charms is that I met a lot of people. Well, me myself, I've never owned a pair of Crocs. So when I started doing this business, like I think a month after, I told him, I was like, you know what, let's get Crocs. And then my mom looked at the website and she was like, they're on sale, so I'll buy a pair for myself and I'll buy a pair for you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So that was really my first pair of Crocs. Like I've heard of them before, like
Yeah,
Crocs.
of course,
Like, I
yeah.
never owned the pair until I started selling the charms.
Oh wow.
And so then I remember meeting a few people and they were like, well, I don't have charms. And I was like, well, like some people, they were like, oh, like the buttons in your shirt, you could put them in there.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
like people were like, oh, I'm going to put them in my purse. Like I'm going to hook them on the hooks.
Yeah.
Like there was people that were doing that, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start telling customers that. I don't know if they ask me or tell me, or I even had a lot of people tell me they're like, oh, I have to buy new Crocs now because they don't have space in the other one. So I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you switch them out too.
Right.
I
Or
mean,
sometimes they switch them out. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because that's what we do with our child. You know, he uses his shoes, and he'll go through a pair of Crocs like in like a couple months.
Wow.
You know, because he wears them so much, and he plays with them, and then
Yeah.
he'll scratch them
Right.
up, and it's like the material. You know, if they hit the cement
Yeah.
so many times, or he's crawling, and you know they'll break. He broke a couple already, made the hole and stuff. So
Wow.
you know, the charms all we do is just wash them and then put them in a bag, and then he gets his shoes, and
Yeah.
you know we
Yeah.
go back and forth. You know, it's and that's a good thing that you end up finding other ways not to just
Right.
sell or offer as charms for shoes, but
Right.
any use them as accessories
Right.
as well. And then, so you started off with charms, and then you started going into women's accessories,
Or yeah, jewelry and stuff like that.
jewelry.
I remember the second stuff I bought was like evil eye bracelets. Evil eye. My mom is obsessed with like the evil eye. You know, protect
Okay.
yourself, bad
Yeah.
vibes, all that good stuff. And so I remember getting those bracelets too, and you know, selling those. Those were pretty good too. Like I had to also keep ordering those. You know,
Okay.
keep myself stocked up on those. And then I went furthermore into getting earrings, and then furthermore into getting headbands. And I did it more because my mom was the one that was like, well, I think you should do these earrings. Because, like, my mom has a lot of the same earrings that I sell. She's like, well, people ask me where I get them from. You know, maybe you'll be able to sell them. And I was like, you know what? Okay, so I remember this one day. I ordered, like, 3-4 pairs of, like, the ones she had. And then she posted them. Or, like, when she would go out, people would ask her. They'd be like, oh, follow my son. He has the exact same ones. He's selling them. And that's how those came to be. So I really thank her more for that section of my business. for
Yeah.
that. So, yeah.
So, at the point now, what else are you going into? Like jewelry, the headbands. I saw that you have like purses now.
I have purses, yes.
Is that like some of the new stuff that you're bringing into your inventory as
Yeah.
your business?
I'm starting to bring those in, and then there's like a few more. Like I want to do as much as I can.
Okay.
Like maybe hats now. You know,
Okay.
do as much as I can.
Yeah.
Have enough for everybody. You know, with the name that how I came up with the name was I'm a big Harry Styles fan.
Okay.
So I kind of used his last name to put the front name of the business, and then boutique. You know, I think Aiden kind of helped. Aiden helped me more with the name, and then he designed the logo too.
Yeah.
I got more experience afterwards. So
Yeah.
It looks a little nicer now.
Yeah. He did the logo for me. Yeah. So then, I think that's kind of the mission behind my business. Is like I want you to be able to wear anything with whatever you want, however you want. Kind of, you know, choose what you want to do with these items.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That you get that support from your family, and then you know the ideas that your mom throws out, you
Yeah.
know, at you actually.
Or like
you know,
she'll keep me updated. She'll be like, "Well, these people like these earrings, so you should order them." Or I think you should get these. I think these are cool. Or like even now when I order earrings, she'll keep a pair. Like she won't even. She'll keep a pair.
she'll see and then she'll grab
She'll-
one. And
yeah, she'll- yeah,
she's
she-
your promoter,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because you know, it's every you know when it comes to social media, it's that whole follow thing. It's a big
Yeah.
thing. It's a big help, and it's pretty cool because I think when I met you, I think the only thing you had was charms. I think.
Yeah, I think.
And
so.
then you know now you know you're at a point where you're gonna need a bigger table
Yeah.
or a bigger section, you know, within the years. And this past when was it? Was it in the 50th anniversary of the?
Oh yeah, the
Was
50th, it was in
was
April.
it in April?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You were there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did that go for you?
That was good.
That was
Yeah, those shows, like the bigger shows, kind of usually do good. Any shows I've really gone to do really good, especially because, like, you know, there's people like I remember going to a toy show with Aiden, and I had earrings with me, and they were like, they looked at me and they were like, earrings, like here at a toy show, like you would never think of it, and and I surprisingly sold like a pair or two of earrings there, and I was like, I don't know, start something new, I guess, like. Bring them
Yeah,
with me.
and what I've noticed, I think in the whole show you were like one of the only ones that were selling like charms and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
it goes a long way because you know a lot of people that go collect stuff they
Right.
see, you know,
Or like
the
I have-
charms that
yeah.
you have, and they, Sonic,
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
I've had a lot of parents at like the Kane County shows. They'll like stop by and they'll be like, oh, perfect for the kids. Like they'll bring their kids and like their kids will grab a bunch and like
Yeah.
they'll leave happy, and that's the kind of like also puts a smile on my face. Like I like to see people happy, or like like engage with them, talk to them.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right, let's go back to Aiden real quick because it's pretty cool that you guys are brothers, and you guys are doing your thing. Like it's different paths, but at the end
Yeah.
you guys
Right.
come together. You guys have go to shows together and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I do have Aiden to thank for a lot of the opportunities that I've had. Shows, events. Like I go literally most of the shows that I do, it's like with him. Like I think I've done like one or two shows alone, and like all the other ones, like I'll have a little setup with him, or like certain shows he's gotten me into, like the King County. Like I used to sell there with like the extra McDonald's toys that we had, because like I wanted to make money. So I was like, let's take these, and getting in there, I was like grateful. I'm very grateful for Aiden, because like he does help me out there in those situations like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. And like you said, now that you guys are more mature and older, you guys have a better bond,
Right.
and the business brings
Mm.
you guys together more.
Yeah.
It's like you guys see each other at home, but when it comes to business, like, hey, let's go to this
Right.
event.
Like
Yeah.
he'll send me places. He'll be like, oh, you should check this event out. Or like I'll tell him, and like we'll go from there.
Vice versa. Cool, that's pretty cool. And so now that you guys have well, Aiden that has pretty big inventory, um how does that come in, getting into these bigger shows? How does that work? How do you guys start getting your foot in the door when it comes to these events? Because I'm assuming that, yeah, there's always like that charge that you buy your space or this and that, but sometimes I'm assuming some shows, they have their priority or their sellers that they get all every time. How do you
Yeah.
get your foot in the door when it comes to these type of events?
So on that, so like I said, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of the events my dad would take us, and the event we'd always go to was C2E2. For
Yeah.
me, C2E2 was the event to look forward to every year. Like we'd go and we'd be there the whole day, and he'd be like, you know what, you have $50. That's all you can spend, and I'd be like, man, we got $50. We can spend it. So for me, that was always the event. So when we started selling stuff, we would do the little events here and there. And I remember when I was like, man, imagine if one day we could do a show that like size, Because I
Magnitude,
mean,
yeah.
C2E2 is a big show.
It is.
It's done by it's done by Reed Pop. Reed Pop is one of the biggest convention makers in the country. They do New York Comic Con, they do Star Wars Celebration. Some of these big shows. So here for us, they're one of the biggest ones. When the first one we did, I think I was probably 16, and I just was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I should just, apply or email somebody to see if I could apply, and we'll see what happens. Like, I didn't think anything of it. Like, I'm like, oh, they probably won't even respond. I got the application, filled it out, sent it. They replied like, oh, send us more info of your store, send us pictures of your stuff, da, da, da. So I'm like, man, like we don't have an actual store though. Like we only do events. So I'm like, well, I'll just send them pictures of some of our setup that we've done, and we'll see what they say. Again, not thinking anything of it. I sent that like 2 weeks or so later. They're like, okay, here's your receipt. You gotta send a check. I'm like, what? Like holy shit. Like and those shows are not cheap to do either. They're
I'm
expensive.
assuming
C2E2 that year was, I think, $1,200 to do,
to just go in and
to
sell.
just go and sell. And again, at that time I was 16. I was like, holy shit. But we did it. We still did it.
Yeah.
Got the check, sent it, and I'm like, now we gotta prepare. And at that time, like when you're talking about the inventory, realistically, like I'll be honest with you, we didn't have nearly enough to do a show of that size. Why we did it? We just did it.
Yeah.
I remember my dad was like, "Man, you need to have more inventory because, like, this is too little." And I'm like, "Man, like all that inventory, like that's too crazy to have all that." And looking back now, I'm like, "No, he was right. We did need all that."
Yeah.
I mean, the first year, there's pictures. I put them on Facebook and everything. Like, the shelves are look bare, like,
Empty.
and it was the first day. Nobody had even shopped yet, and the shelves were like bare. But I think one of the kind of not mistakes, but one thing that we did that year, because at that time the mystery bags and mystery boxes were hot. Everybody was making everybody was selling. So I got those like those paper lunch bags, and I put 100 pops in 100 bags, and we were selling mystery bags. And in there we had three like grails. One of them I remember was the Ralphie from the Christmas Story. I think at that time he was worth like $150. The Flash Chase, the metallic one, he was also worth like $150. And I forgot what the last
Wasn't
one
it
was.
Lucky
It was like the leprechaun one, which was worth $100, and we were selling the bags for 15. So if you got one of those pops, you lucked out, you know. So a lot of our inventory went on that,
On that.
and a lot of people didn't buy them. We didn't sell too many of them. So maybe if we wouldn't have done that, it would have looked a little better. But you live and you learn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But at least the first one, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, we were really underprepared. Looking back, like I'll tell you, we were really underprepared. Even now, I'm like, man, I feel like, oh, we don't have enough. But then I look at pictures before, and I'm like, we have enough. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
Like it was worse before, but I think a lot of these things seem really impossible to do until you actually do it, you know. But it's also a thing where you just have to try, right? The
Yeah,
worst that could happen is a no, or the worst that could happen was they didn't respond. I expect them to respond? No, but they did. And like I said, that C2E2 was one of the funnest ones, and it still is. We just did this year was our fifth one in a row. We did it was 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. 5 years in a row.
Even
So
with COVID.
so what was interesting about that one in 2020, they did it 2 weeks before everything got shut down. They did it.
Oh
And
shit.
yeah, and I'll never forget that because
That was in February, I think.
it was
I
like the
think I
end of February, I
remember-
think.
Yeah, I think I remember.
We did it, and then like later, like 2 weeks later, everything was like shut down, and
Yeah.
like I remember like, man, we're never gonna have a show like that again. And then they still did it 2021. They did it in December though,
Yeah,
which was
I think that was
completely different.
I think that was like the second wave before the second wave
Yeah,
started of
yeah.
COVID, because it kind of like slowed down and
Yeah.
then it was
Came
okay.
back up.
They started
Opening stuff.
opening restaurants and
Because
then
yeah, because
shut down
C2E2
again.
C2E2 has always been around the same time, like end of like February, March, or April, around that time. They moved it. 2021 was in December. Last year was in August. This year they finally got it to kind of normal. It was the end of March,
Yeah.
beginning of April. So next year I think is in March. I can't remember, but something like that. But yeah, that for me was one of the biggest things where I'm like, man, like that was the like where do we go from here type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But for
Is that-
sure,
Is that one of your biggest accomplishments that you're able to do each year?
yeah, for sure. I mean, if we never did another one again, if we didn't, I would be like, we did 5 of them. You know, there's some people that don't even do one, and especially because with me, I'm 20. I've already done 5 of them. You know, there's people that don't do one until maybe they're 35 or 40 or older. I don't know.
Whatever age,
You know,
yeah.
but I think for me that will always be a big accomplishment because it's not something that a lot of people do, and it's not something that you know is common, I guess you could say. But definitely a lot of fun.
And all these different type of events that you promote, that you show up to, do some of them reach out to you? They see your page, or they've met you at different other expos and stuff like that? How does that, because I've seen that you do like flea markets too,
Yeah.
like small flea markets, the expos, the toy cons.
Yeah.
How do you get, how do you choose, or how does that work
Yeah.
when it comes with you to do that?
Well, one thing I'll say is that no matter what, no show for us, I guess, well, for me at least, is too big or too small. Like I told you right now, we've done C2E2. C2E2 is a big event, 100,000 people maybe. We've done small flea markets, a couple hundred people. If I feel interested in it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But for some of them, maybe they'll be like, "Hey, we're doing the show if you're interested," and I'll decide, yeah, no, whatever. But a lot of them in the beginning it was harder because nobody knows who you are, so you
Yes.
kind of have to literally beg people like,
Yeah.
"Hey, if you have a space, let me know," or "Hey, I know you're booked, but if you have anything at last minute, let me know. I'll go." Now I've already been doing shows for a while, so it's kind of like they know I'll be there, or I'll message them and be like, "Hey, you got my spot," and then pay for it, and that's it. A lot of shows like ToyCon, we've been there consecutively for the past maybe 4 years consecutively. There's the show in the show in St. Charles. We've probably been doing that one since 2018, 2019, every time. So that's been a couple years, and we always usually have the same spot. There's another show in Kankakee. We're always there. It's that one's 2 times a year, but we've been there for the past 2, 3 years. So some of these shows that they do, they're repeat, and we already know the people that run them, so
Yeah.
we're fine there. When it comes to like newer shows or stuff like that, we'll just reach out and that's it. I mean, I try to keep myself really busy, so
Yeah.
usually every weekend. Like this weekend, we have an event Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday
So,
and Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, yeah. And sometimes there'll be days where we would have an event Saturday morning, an event Saturday night, and then an event Sunday morning. You know,
Oh, shit.
I mean, because the way I see it is that if we already have the truck loaded with stuff, we might as well go again. You know.
Yeah.
Like one time I remember that, like right now that we're talking about events, was last year in October. What was it? It was a. So on the Saturday, it was October 30th. In Whedon, there's something called a haunted flea market. I don't know if you've heard of it, but if you're a
No,
Halloween
I-
fan, you have to go because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It starts at 3 in the afternoon and it runs until midnight.
Oh wow.
And it's in like a fairground. It's in Whedon. It's like ranch farm. Place.
Yeah.
So people will go in costumes. Like it's just cool. It's like a flea market mixed with a toy show, mixed with like antiques, like everything. They had people selling food, everything, popcorn. But that event was a lot of fun. And like I said, it started at 3. It was about an hour away from where I live. So we got there like at 1 to set up. By the time we packed up, it was almost 1 in the morning. That next day, we had an event. We would do pop-ups. We had an event. It started at like 10 in the morning. So we got home right asleep, woke up and left to set up,
Yeah.
like that. But the thing behind it all is that I enjoy it, If I didn't enjoy it, I probably wouldn't do all that.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I genuinely do. So I think that's what keeps it going a lot too. Is that like I like it, So, and it's a lot of fun going to the events. You meet a lot of people. You see a lot of things. The one thing I probably don't like about the events is seeing stuff because I'm gonna want to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
That's everybody.
that
Right?
and packing up. I like setting up. I don't like packing up because by
Yeah.
then I'm tired. Like.
Yeah. You've been there the whole day on
Yeah.
your feet, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that, though, I mean, I love going to the events. But like I said, and like I'll bring up like with my dad, I'll take him to shows and he'll be like, "I need to go get this for me." Like I saw something I like.
Yeah.
Like, man, I can't be bringing you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend as much as I sell.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
yeah.
it's a lot of fun though.
That's pretty cool. So here today you brought some of your is it your personal collection? Is it stuff that you're selling? How did you pick your stuff that you brought in today?
So I have a mix. So I have these 3 autograph pops right here. Those are for my personal collection, and like I was telling you right now, it's about like enjoying. I love it. I love going to the events, and this is like kind of like to show you like these all of them. I got them signed at events we sold at. The crane is signed by the creator of the Ninja Turtles, and I got it signed at the C2E2 this year. And I waited 2 hours in line to get him to sign it. And I mean it's cool, so I love it and it's okay. But yeah, that's one. The Gus Fring I got it at C2E2 I think last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember. But again, I love that show. I love the pops. So to get it signed was like awesome. And then the one underneath that is a John Travolta sign from Greece. Again, Greece, one of my favorite movies. My mom loves that movie too. She was the one that would like make us watch it all the time. I got to meet him. That was 2018. No, 2019 at Wizard World. Well, they don't do that show
They
no
don't
more.
do it anymore.
So
I
that
went
was
to that one
that was the
twice.
last thing I got from that show. So that's kind of like to show you like I get stuff from the events or like things that I'll remember from the events, like So, but again, like I told you, it comes down to me enjoying it, and that's what I like. If I go to an event and there's somebody that signing and I'm like, oh, that's not too expensive, I'll get it signed. I know we talked before about Michael J. Fox
Yeah.
coming to Fan Expo. He's charging like $300. I'm like, ugh. He's cool, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
definitely.
the other ones I got are some that we have for sale, and they're some of our most popular ones. Julio Cesar Chavez.
Which I have too.
Which
on
you
my,
brought
on
him
my
too.
side,
Yeah.
'cause
So you see.
these on this side, these are mine. These are what I have.
So you see.
Some of them.
So you see. I mean, that shows you right there how popular. That one, when we first got it, I mean, that thing flew off the shelf. Especially because a lot of the people that are our customers are like Mexican Latinos, so they love Julio Cesar Chavez. Another one like that one, I don't have one with me. Selena. That one.
Oh yes, I won that one.
When that one came out, man, we sold those crazy. Jordan, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael
I mean,
Jordan's a
I
big
brought
one.
Benny the Bull with me. That one was another big one. A funny story about that one is that when we got him 2021, before the Bulls season even started playing, like the preseason. And when I got him, I'm like, I told my I had bought tickets for me and my dad to go to the first preseason game of the year. So I told him like, oh, I'm gonna take a box with me. I'm gonna stand in front and sell them like they sell the waters, but I'm gonna sell the pops. And he's like, oh, you're crazy because it was cold at that time. He's like, you're crazy. It's too cold. So we went in the store, and I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna have them in the store, because they have everything here. They didn't. They had the Jordan one, the Pippen one. They didn't have none of the Bentley Bulls. I'm like, damn, like I got them before the store, the United Center store got them. So I after the game, I went outside, got the box, and I stood in front. I was selling them. I probably sold half the box that day.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, but I mean, like I said, that goes to show you, I'll sell wherever,
Yeah,
wherever I'll sell.
exactly.
Big shows, little shows, side of the street, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Michael Myers. I mean, Halloween is a classic movie.
Yeah.
That's a
definitely.
classic character forever. So the horror stuff sells good too. And a lot of it is a lot of fun. So that's why I'm like, I'll bring that one too, just to make
Yeah,
the
definitely.
setup.
And why Funko Pops? Out of everything that you could have sold, maybe there's at the shows there's a lot of Hot Wheel people. There's one of the vintage
Yeah.
toys. This miscellaneous stuff. A lot of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Why Funko Pops?
So what's funny, and I didn't bring this up earlier, one of the first things that I really collected was Hot Wheels.
Okay.
And the reason why I feel like I did was I love cars, but also because they were so affordable.
Yeah.
A Hot Wheel was back then 79 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'd buy 10 of them, $10.
Yeah.
It was more, right now the Pops are 10, $12 a piece for one. So, I mean, my room was, like, the walls were full of them. I'd pin them on the wall, like, the whole wall.
Okay.
The whole wall. So, before, that's what I really collected. And, like, someone right now would never think of that because I sell Pops. I don't sell Hot Wheels,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think the Pops, what stuck out to me was that I feel like there's no other company or no other situation where you can have, like right now on this table, Batman next to Julio Cesar Chavez. What other company makes that?
Yeah.
Who's gonna have Michael Myers next to Benny the Bull? Who?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Exactly, yeah.
But them. And that's the thing that a lot of people were like, oh, they're like Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies were animals of different colors.
And the material was completely different.
Yeah.
As
These are actual characters from shows or actual real people.
Right.
That people, if they like those people or if they like that show, they're gonna want them. It's a big difference. And that I feel like is one of the biggest things that I liked about the Pops was that you'd have the most randomest people. Like I see you have Neymar down there,
Yes.
and then
I
you have Batman. Yeah.
Neymar,
Yeah,
and
Neymar.
then-
And Batman. So
And
you
Batman.
think you ever see a movie with Neymar and Batman together?
Yeah. Exactly.
No, but you can see the toys next to each other in the
Yeah.
same kind of style. So that's one thing that to me stuck out, and I really liked it. And I liked it because they would make a lot of stuff like unique. The set or the ones that I collected the most, especially before like crazy, was the ad icons. So what those were was like the advertisement mascots. Tony the Tiger, the Rice Krispie, like all those kind of things. That for whatever reason, I just always liked. I liked the ads and stuff like that. So those, I mean, that is a big set. There's probably like 200 Pops.
Okay.
I think I have maybe like 150 of them.
Okay.
So
You're almost there.
almost. And a lot of them are expensive because they're
Yeah.
old. I don't have a lot of the expensive ones. I have a couple, but those are some of my favorites. And the Looney Tunes. I love Looney Tunes, so I have not all of them, but a good amount. Like Speedy Gonzalez, that's one of my favorite ones. I have
That's a
that
good
one. Another ones that were my favorite, music. I'm a big music fan. So I have a bunch of different ones, Guns N' Roses, Kiss, Johnny Cash, Biggie, all AC/DC, a bunch of different types.
Yeah.
But I think for me that you could have so many different things in one. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty good way of thinking. Also with the business, that you have so much variety that
Yep.
you can, catch the attention of different people. Because
Hmm.
now it's becoming more popular with people that um like, especially with us, like Mexican or Latinos, that they start collecting,
Yeah.
or they'll buy them. Like you said, Selena. Who doesn't like Selena? It's just they're sometimes a little bit hard to come by, or they're gonna be at a certain price range.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And people don't understand that. They think, oh well, it's just plastic, or it's just a box and a toy. Then you can't really play with it, but it's nice to look at,
Yeah.
or when you
For
take it
sure.
out the box, it looks nice.
For sure.
But I mean, I think it comes more with the demand, or how did they end up making the prices for them, or how do they fluctuate so much? How does that run off of?
A lot of
Like give us a little bit of education coming
yeah.
into the Funkles.
So, like everything, age. The older it is, the more harder it is to find, the more expensive it is. The pops that are worth the most are the pops that sat in the shelves in Barnes and Noble in 2011. They sat there. You search the pictures and they're literally just there. But because at that time they were just like you said, they were just toys. They were just there. Whoever bought them bought them. Whoever did it. And you got to think about it now. 2011 is how many years ago? To 12 years ago.
Yeah, so
A lot of people, hey, I'm gonna buy this for my nephew, and he rips the box up. The box is gone. The figure's there. He chews it up. Become less and less and less and less and less. Then they stop making them. The term that the Funko uses is vaulted. They vault the pops, or they stop making that mold. So that becomes desirable. One specific one that I can think of right now is like Ghostface from Scream. Scream is a classic movie. That pop right now I think goes for, and I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think it goes for like 300 to $500 in between that range, depending on the box condition as well.
yeah.
But you would think like, oh, Ghostface, like they have a lot of them. There's only one. They only made one.
Oh really?
Like they never made any more molds. Michael Myers, there's probably like 10 different Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Blood, knife in this hand, knife in this hand,
Yeah.
standing up with the house, like so many different ones. But of Ghostface, there's only one. So once they stop making that one, there's no more.
Yeah.
There's no once they stop making it, there's no
So
more.
if they
And they
make,
haven't made another one. They could, and if they do, that the value of that one might drop a little bit,
yeah.
but not a lot. And what's funny about that specific pop is like years ago we went into Hot Topic. They were having a buy one get one half off sale, and my dad bought two of the Ghostface ones, one for me, and then he bought one for a friend of his. Mine, I opened it because I didn't care about the box. I opened it, put it in the display, and it actually fell and broke the leg off the toy.
Oh damn.
I still have it with the leg broken.
Yeah.
But it's things like that. Like, but think about like that one. That's one less that there is. So now whatever's left becomes worth more.
Yeah.
Another thing too that affects that is piece count. Before and even now, they make a lot of pieces that are limited to 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, maybe 300, maybe 20. There's one pop in specific, like they make the mascot Freddy Funko. They made a Freddy Funko as Venom. So they made I think 24 of them. I mean, that pop is ridiculously expensive. There's only literally 24 of them made.
Out there.
So I mean, I know that there's somebody that has like a bunch of them, and I'm sure he spent a lot of money on them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it comes down to that. A lot of the time, the piece count, the hype around the character, like Neymar. When Neymar first came out, and that should have been like a $12 pop, people were maybe selling them for 25, $30,
Yeah.
and people were buying it because it was so popular. Once the movie kind of calms down, everybody kind of calms down. It goes back to 15, around there. But
So it could be based off of a hype as
hype.
well.
Oh yeah, like Stranger Things. When the new season came out and everybody loved it. I mean, the Steve pops from before, if they were maybe you could sell them for $15, they skyrocketed. Moon Knight. The Moon Knights that are worth a lot right now are those like the LA Comic Con, the glow ones. I had those things when they came out. You couldn't even give them away. Like I think I sold them for $5, and now they're like $200
Yeah.
or something. And they were more when the show came out. But it seems like that they're just unpredictable. Like you're not gonna be like they're gonna make a show of this in 5 years, so let me hold it. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna know. But that's what drives the market on these a lot is the hype and what's new and what's coming out. Um, it's unpredictable. It really is unpredictable. I mean, something could be hot today, not hot tomorrow, right? But it's just like we talked about earlier. You gotta stay on top of things because now you're gonna literally be left behind.
Yeah,
and you're not
exactly.
gonna, yeah. But the value, there's no like set thing. It's just kind of demand and how the people feel. Really, some stuff's gonna be worth nothing or little or nothing because nobody cares for it. But in a couple years, if something happens to, let's say, that actor or that show, a new show comes out with that character, it could change.
Like the Jason David Frank,
Yeah,
Power Rangers. You got it signed, a couple years ago for $100,
yeah,
and now he passed away. So now it's you're not gonna get a signed
yeah. No
one
one can
ever
get that. Yeah,
again. So maybe the price
yeah,
went up.
yeah. And what's funny about that is that my little brother is a big Power Rangers fan. He
Oh,
loves Power
nice.
Rangers. So one of the years we did C2E2, Jason David Frank was there doing autographs, and he had saved money like to get autographs. So he had 100. They were like $50 an autograph. So he got two pops signed. It was the White Ranger and the Green Ranger. I go with him. I'm like, I'll go with you. We'll take him, so get him signed. So we go, waiting in the line, and then we finally meet him. And I mean, I met, like I said, I've met a couple people doing autograph, but he was one of the nicest that I had ever met. He's like, oh, he was making conversation. How you doing? How old are you? Whatever, stuff like that. He signs the pops. Say, oh, you want to take a picture? And I'm like, because that was supposed to cost extra.
That's true.
And he's like, yeah, sure. So he takes the picture, and I'm like, oh, like, there's not a lot of people that do it. He even offered to sign my brother's badge from C2E2. So he signed that or whatever. So it's like things like that like not a lot of other people are gonna like do, but he was generally, I feel like, really nice, and he loved his fans. So when he passed away, which was last year, right? I was like, man, like that's crazy. Like he was nice,
Yeah.
And I'm not a Power Rangers fan. I don't have anything against Power Rangers. I just never watched it or
Yeah.
got into it. But I'm like, man, like he was genuinely nice. So, but yeah, like you said, that you're not gonna be able to get it signed no more. So that's gonna be worth even more.
Yeah,
Even more.
that's why I'm trying to get that Julio Cesar Chavez one signed and he's he's I mean he's not I'm not gonna say he's old because he's only like about 60,
Yeah,
but I mean just having something signed of him,
yeah,
like a lot of people got back in the days he would sign shit for free. Back then it would wouldn't not like now, they have conventions and all this shit going
yeah,
on.
and a lot.
Back
Yeah,
then he probably just signed it whatever.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And it might be a thing where a certain company might own his autograph, or a certain company might own the right to have him sign. I don't know, things like that.
Yeah.
They were things that back
So
then
much.
they didn't even think about, and now it's like so much changes, and that's how it is. But that would be cool to get signed.
Yeah,
That would be
definitely.
really
Yeah,
cool.
I think certain stuff like even the Neymar too with this guy.
And he was actually here at C2E2 this year.
Yeah, I
It
did
was
see
his
that.
first. I think it was his first convention, like big convention appearance.
Yeah,
And that line was
the notch.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
And like
the
we
noche
say, like
huerta.
yeah, like we say with demand at events like that. If someone like bought that autograph last minute, they're going to go crazy looking for that pop.
Yeah,
They're going to run around an area looking for it. And sometimes we have it, we would have them. Sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we wouldn't.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And right now that you have um, so much inventory, what are your best sellers out there, or something that you'll constantly have to have in your inventory?
I mean, for sure, we're in Chicago, so for sure, Michael Jordan. People love the Michael Jordan. Every time a new Michael Jordan comes out, I have to make sure I have it or get it. Right now, the new one that I just got was the All Star Game one. He's wearing like the white jersey. Benny the Bull, he's been out for a couple years, but we constantly have take him to the shows. People love him. I mean, again, things from Chicago.
Chicago stuff. Yeah.
But it's not really specific, I guess, pops that we sell a lot of. It's just specific like categories. Right now, like Naruto, really popular. Like a lot of the anime stuff, really popular.
Anime, okay.
Really, really popular.
Demon
Marvel.
Slayer. Is
Oh yeah, Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Yeah, Demon Slayer.
My Hero
My Hero
Academia.
Academia,
I don't
yeah.
watch
And-
anime.
and-
It's just
No,
I
yeah.
constantly hear the same names
Yeah.
on like social media, TikToks, YouTube
No, yeah.
videos, and
No, I don't watch any anime either. But I know of it because I see all these toys all the time, you
Yeah.
know? So I learned little by little. But before, My Hero was, man, you couldn't keep those things on the shelf. They would sell like crazy. And I mean, they sell decent right now, but a lot of times with that, like we talk about, when they make new seasons or new episodes, that's when the hype just bounces up.
goes.
So I guess recently there hasn't been anything right now, but I think they're supposed to make some more soon. So once that comes out, then
The
probably,
demand goes up.
yeah, and that, like I said, that's usually how it goes. Like even with like the WandaVision, when that WandaVision show came out, all the old Wanda pops skyrocketed. Vision, all those skyrocketed because it's just like I said, unpredictable.
Yeah,
unpredictable.
definitely. Yeah, I try to keep up. Like the stuff that I have, I collect as in like what reminds me of my childhood or stuff that's coming out that I like. I have a couple of Funko Pops from Game of Thrones, so that's I like Game of Thrones. I got a couple of gifts like my boy Abe that plays with me in the band. He gave me some Funkos. He collects. He has a lot of my the Office
Okay, yeah.
Funkos. He has like a decent amount of collections, and I got him some for his birthday or for Christmas, I believe. Um, my stuff is very limited, but damn, I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
And but you mentioned The Office. The Office, when they announced those pops, I had never seen the show, but the the fans just went crazy. Like
Yeah,
that was one of the most requested ones, and when they finally did it, it was just like, man, like that's crazy. And those pops were flying,
yeah.
flying. I mean, even like Seinfeld was popular when they came out. Those are shows that people are gonna
That no
love.
longer exists,
Yeah,
and you know that you're not gonna find a lot of merch as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Especially the Office, they're not gonna make
Make any
anything,
episodes? No,
any episodes like whatever was there,
it's there
Is
and
there.
that's it.
there. And so how do you keep like how right now they have like the shoe guys have they're always trying to keep up to date with the shoe drops. How do you keep up to date with all these drops coming out? Is it your supplier gives you the dates, or you look up the dates, or is where can people find the dates, or how
Yeah,
does that work?
for us, for me at least, when we buy the stuff, I get like a list of what the stuff is, and then I just look and say, hey, okay, I want to order this or that or whatever, and then I just order it. A lot of the stuff, especially nowadays, you order stuff now and you'll get it in January.
Yeah,
Like you're ordering ahead,
yeah,
so you have to know what you're gonna want if you want to get it in time. So like right now, you could be ordering stuff that's gonna come out for Valentine's Day next year. So
okay.
you gotta literally have to order it now and know what you want now. Because if you order it later, you might not get it on time, or you might not get it for when you need it.
The first wave.
So a lot of stuff is tricky, and like we said, a lot of stuff is unpredictable. Is it gonna be hot? Is it not? You don't know, because you don't want to buy too little, and then people are asking for more, but you don't want to buy too much and be stuck with it. That's what's tricky, because we can't return the stuff.
Yeah,
So a lot of times it's kind of just me just being like, well, I think this, and before I would be more like, no, we can't risk it. Now I'll be more like, okay, like we'll try different stuff or whatever. But like I said, it's unpredictable. But
yeah.
that's usually how it goes. You order ahead of time, and then you get it whenever you get it,
Okay.
type of thing.
So like so basically like with all these movies coming out, like they basically they know that they're gonna start making productions or a certain line is gonna come out in the future, so you guys be able to order it type
Yeah,
of stuff. Okay,
yeah. So and what's
makes
funny is
sense.
that they'll put like code names.
Yeah.
So I think the code name for the Doctor Strange movie, the newest one, was like Stellar Vortex.
Mhm.
So it'd be Stellar Vortex Pop 1, Pop 2, Pop 3. They wouldn't tell you what it was. They just tell
Yeah.
you. They'll be like, well, that's a code name for this movie. They'll tell you what movie it was. So
Yeah.
then that's the thing. You wouldn't even know what you're ordering. You're just ordering a
Okay.
pop from that movie. You don't even
Ah,
know.
okay.
Especially the Marvel stuff, they're really particular with hiding everything, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't blame them.
assuming. Yeah.
I don't blame them. It's Marvel, but they really want to hide the stuff, so they don't even sometimes tell the companies what it is. Before too, what I liked was they'd have like little conferences with us, and they were like, "Oh, we can show you the pictures, but you can't take any like screenshots of it. Like you can only look, just so you know what you're kind of ordering." So that is helpful too, because then I can be like, "Oh, well that looks cool. That looks badass. People are gonna want it. Like I'll order it."
Mm.
Like right now, a big thing is like the Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, I mean, she's extremely popular, and all the old pops that they have of him are like really expensive. They're upwards of 150, $200. So the fact that they're making new ones, people that didn't get the chance before are going to be able to have them now, and now I mean, the molds are so much better now than they were before. They're going to look so much better.
Oh, okay.
So those, I mean, I look forward to those two. They should look cool again because I collect the music ones. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, I've noticed that there all these new molds coming out within like this year and last year. Like certain ones have so much detail, really
hmm
cool detail that you're like, man, holy crap! It's
yeah,
yeah, you can't believe it. It's so much detail,
yep,
and it's almost like exactly out of the movie or
yeah.
stuff like that. So that's they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, and I mean the best thing about them, like we said, is that they're affordable.
Yeah.
There's companies like Hot Toys or Sideshow Collectibles that make these $300 or
Yes.
high, expensive statues,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying anything bad about them because they're badass, but they're more. These are more affordable than those.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those is
Or
30
for like
of
those,
these.
yeah, exactly. And then those are for like the big collectors,
Yeah.
those big fans that are able to afford those type of,
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, they're cool. They're those Hot Toys, and I've seen them in person, and they're awesome. But everybody, cada quien tiene sus gustos.
Yeah, definitely, especially. But yeah, man, that's pretty cool. That's a good explanation of when it comes to the pop world.
Yeah, it's crazy sometimes. And then the pandemic didn't make it better because the pandemic, all the the shipping delays, it made stuff even more valuable. So whatever little bit you had, you were like people were selling it for crazy amounts because it was so little. Because they're
Yeah.
like, well, we don't know where we're gonna get more or if we're gonna get more. So that was a big thing too because like on our end, it became for me where like, well, hey, if originally I would have ordered one case of this, I'm gonna order 2 or 3 because I don't know when I'm gonna get it.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually everything got there. So
Yeah.
one day, they called my dad. They called my dad, and he called me. He's like, you better go outside. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, they called me from the company, the supplier, that they're gonna drop off a pallet. I'm like, a pallet of what? He's like, a pallet of pops. I'm like, what? Because again, all those stuff, once the supply chain got fixed, all that stuff finally got to us.
Holy
I opened the door and this dude's in those box trucks dropping off a pallet in front of my house.
Wow.
I'm like, holy shit! Like that's
And that stuff that you had ordered prior.
years ago. We got that pallet last year in November. Some of that stuff I had ordered in 2020,
Wow.
and it got there 2 years later.
Wow.
But because we didn't know when we were gonna get it, so I was just kind of ordering, and I'm like, oh, eventually we'll get it. Eventually we did.
Yeah.
It all got
So
there together. Yeah,
right?
all together.
Well, I mean, at least you have some inventory that
Yeah,
you could work
yeah,
with,
yeah.
especially with, like you said,
Yeah,
C2E2.
yeah.
and all
'Cause
these
we had
stuff.
C2E2 like 3 months later, so it was fine.
Yeah.
But it was just like, where are we gonna put this right now?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty cool. And then let's go back to Devin right now. With the charms that you were working on, what are your what is something that you always have to be ordering constantly as of right now? Because you said last year,
Right.
Bad Bunny was
Bad Bunny.
dominating your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
What is something that normally you keep in stock, or you have in mind that you always have to have?
I always try to keep in stock like the Mexican ones, like the loteria. Those were
Oh,
also really
those, yeah.
popular too.
Okay.
Like, some of my family members, they would come, and, like I would show them to them. They would leave with a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I would have to reorder them. I think more ordering what's up, like keeping up to date. So like the Peso Pluma, or having those on order. Being able to like, because I know if I go to an event and I sell them, I'm gonna have to order more.
Yeah,
So I think
definitely.
definitely to stay up to date with what's trending, what's now. Or also when customers tell me, "Oh, do you have any of these? Do you have any of these?" I'll be like, "No, but I can order some. If you follow me, I'll post them, and I can ship them out to you, or we can meet somewhere, and we can figure it out."
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is something that you had bought in the beginning that you kind of can't get rid of yet, or what's hard to sell when it comes to?
I think like certain like the Christmas ones that I bought. I think like I still have a bunch of those left.
Yeah,
So I think
but
stuff
those
like
are seasonal.
right.
You
Yeah. So I think stuff like that is like it's like certain things like
the seasonal stuff.
right, the seasonal ones maybe more. Yeah.
The slow sellers.
Yeah.
Like you got to start selling like the Christmas ones
Yeah.
in November,
Right,
so
yeah.
they could try to get rid of them.
Promote
By okay, that works. Yeah. So what are your plans for like say this year? What do you want to do now? Like you said, your hats or more accessories or more different type of variations. What do you have in your plans, or how does that work when you want to look forward or try to make a different step into your business?
I think just keeping myself busy, keeping myself on top of things, again, keeping up with trends. Maybe being more independent, you know, like leaving Aiden behind his events to do, you know, trying to find my own
Your
events.
own events,
Like,
yeah.
you know, like he has like he's constantly going to like C2E2 these events. Maybe I'll have an event where where I constantly go by myself. Try to be more like trying to figure it out on my
Fine,
own.
you know,
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to ask you guys. You guys last year ended up being in a pop up store in Pilsen. How did that come about? Because at the end of the day, I remember you posting. You guys were a couple vendors in there, and you know, it looked like it was, you know, getting pretty busy with all these pop ups. You know, local businesses
Yeah.
that don't have a steady place,
Hmm.
but you guys were there for a couple weeks, and you know, it was more like a staple thing where people pass by or they'll know where to find you guys type of thing.
Yeah. So that came about last year. I came across a post on social media that this place was looking for small businesses or vendors in the area that would be interested in having a retail space. And for me, I mean, a retail space was always like, man, that would be amazing. Like that would be so cool to have a place that I can say is like my store. Like how cool would that be? Because always say like I have a temporary store. We go to a place, we set up, it's my temporary store, you know. But that for me was always in the back of my head, like, man, that would be like the ultimate thing to have, you know. For me, a lot of times, like I would say, it's harder because I still go to school right now. I do go to UIC,
Okay.
so during the year and that time, I'm occupied, tied up there. So there's only so much time, and then we do events, you know. Um, but when I came across that post, I signed up, and like everything, I'm like, oh, like, they're not gonna choose me,
Yeah.
you know. So that was probably in March of last year. In December of last year, I finally got a email, and they're like, "Hey, you know, we decided, you know, we want to proceed with you. You know, when can you meet up to view the space?" And I'm like, "Oh wow, like I didn't think, you know, they would actually choose me, but okay." And I mean, everything moved. I'll be honest with you, really quickly. Like we were shown the space, and we're like, "Okay, you can move in 2 days." I'm like, "In 2 days? Like we just saw the space. Like I'm not. I wasn't ready for all this." And literally like that. The day we were supposed to open was the 20. Uh, it was
It
before
was
Christmas. It was like the 21st or something. The Friday before Christmas. I can't remember. That was when I don't know if you remember. The snow was like super
Oh
stupid.
yeah,
So they ended up
and it
moving
was
it.
really cold.
Yeah, it was really cold. So we were like, no, we'll just move it. So we ended up moving it the next week. It was December 30th. So it was me and four of the vendors. The four of the vendors, one of them, her business name is Envy Beauty. She sold like custom soap, like lotion, stuff like that. The other one was Clay Chicas. They're sisters also. They're sisters, and they make like handmade jewelry. All their jewelry is handmade. Really amazing stuff. And then the other one was Angmer Hecho con Cariño. She makes also her own jewelry, also crazy cool stuff. And then the last one was her name was Lorena. She made like custom cups and stuff like that. So we were all like random stuff
Yeah,
mixed in one. And for me especially, I felt more like I'm way different than them because most of their stuff they made it themselves. Versus
yeah,
I didn't. I don't make these toys, you know.
yeah,
But I mean, we got to know each other and we honestly did get along, and it was a fun. We were there for about it was 3 months, but we weren't actually there 3 months because we would only be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
yeah,
But technically 3 months. It was from the end of December to like mid March.
yeah. I
So
do remember that.
that I mean, it was a lot of fun for me. I got along really well with all of them. They're all great people, and I met a lot of new people from there. A lot, and a lot of people that I might have never met had that never had happened because what we would do was every other weekend or every other weekend we would host like a mini pop-up inside, so we'd have other vendors come. Some of them would sell like they'd make cake or bread or like coffee, a bunch of like random stuff, and we just bring them in to have more people. And a lot of times, and it was a lot of fun with those events, a lot of food to eat.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
Like we'd have like the aguas people there, really good aguas. um, but I met a lot from there. I met a lot of people, and there's some events that we do now after the shop's gone that I met originally from there, and they're like, oh, now I know them. Oh, nice to meet you. It introduced me to a whole different array of shows that I could do now. But I mean, it was a fun couple months, and I know a lot of people got confused. It was originally never going to be permanent. It was always a temporary thing. It was just like
Yeah.
a little program, but it was definitely a nice experience. and it gave me like a little bit of background, like, oh, this is what it would be like to have a store. You know, like you come and open, you close, you this and that. Some days are slow, some days are busy.
Yeah.
And that was one of the times where I met you as well
Yeah.
when we talked about doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like in the beginning of the year
Yeah.
when we talked about it of making an episode
Yeah.
about it and bring you guys in and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with me. I meet people all the time. And it's part of like um you're just so used to it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like if you're a people person, you have literally no struggle into talking to them and being yourself and showing what you do and your customer service skills, and it goes, you get that one extra client all the time that's
Yeah.
always watching out what you do, and then at least stop by and say hi at the shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, for me, I'm a bit of a like introvert person, but the shows, going to the events helped me a lot because I got more comfortable. Hey, talking to people, that kind of thing. So that I feel like helped me be more open. And like I said, even like with C2E2 and with that has to be a big accomplishment for me as well, having that shop. And I mean, it was in Pilsen. Pilsen's a nice place to be. A lot of different stores, a lot of great food. So I mean, it was a lot of fun.
yeah, definitely. That was one of the cool experience that I saw too.
Yeah.
And what do you have planned for this year, or what's one of the goals that within the new coming years, or what's the next step that you would want to take when it comes to your business? Would you want to keep it as like going to expos and going to shows, or you would want like a storefront and small, something
Yeah.
permanent, or what's in your mind, what's in your plan?
Yeah. Well, this year for sure we got a lot of shows planned. So we're like I always say like we're like a traveling circus, right?
Yeah, that's pretty
We
cool.
go around from town to town. Right?
Yeah.
So for sure a lot of events. One of the biggest events that we'll have this year is Fan Expo again. This will be my second year at Fan Expo. Always a great show. But as of right now, yeah, a lot of new stuff coming in, a lot of events. Like I said, in the back of my mind is always a store. That would be for me the ultimate thing. But for that, it would honestly be whenever the time is right. you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
So
That's pretty
for that, but for sure, a lot of events, right?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, man. I think we're almost at the end of our episode today. It's really cool that we get those Latino business owners. It doesn't matter if it's big or if it's small. Like you said, if it's a temporary, your temporary business, or you're doing like the traveling circus thing. That's pretty cool. It's always good to come out and talk about it, because not a lot of people, especially our culture,
Yeah.
they might be a little embarrassed about collecting and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see why they would be embarrassed. It's
Yeah.
something. If you got adult money,
Yeah.
you could pretty much do whatever you want with
Yeah.
it. There's people that collect, records.
Oh.
They
I
collect
collect- yeah, I
records,
collect records,
books.
Yeah.
Like you said, you do Hot Wheels, and you ended up doing Funkos in the after. You go to these shows, and there's people that collect vintage T-shirts.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really glad that we were able to do this episode, because it also gives me a little bit more experience to talk about not just music. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm so familiarized with it, but having something, I like to be like get a little bit educated on other things that I don't know about.
Yeah.
I'm so new to all this when it comes to like collecting and stuff like that, or certain like with Devin, his the charms, having jewelry and stuff like that. It's that's something my wife would like.
Yeah.
The charms are for everyone. I see guys with charms.
Yeah.
I see kids, women. It doesn't matter. It's all gender type of thing.
Mhm.
And that's pretty cool too. So I mean, that's the good thing. This place that's what I wanted to make it for.
Mhm.
I wanted to make it a place where you come and tell your story and promote your business if you have one, the same thing with music. It's promoting your band and talking about music or talking about we go off on tangents and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's always good to throw out a story out there and having everybody their episodes and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy that you guys came. I'm excited and hopefully we could have more of these. Like I was telling Aiden last time, hey, do you know any other more Funko people or like other Latino vendors or business owners that have something different?
Yeah.
Because it's typical when they sell, like people that sell food or have
Yeah.
taquisas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like for the parties, everybody kind of knows a taco person or something. Like the same thing. Hopefully, I can get in the future maybe some sneaker guys.
Yeah.
Or stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Sneakers are a big thing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just gonna be little by little.
Yeah.
Going through there, but I really appreciate
Yeah.
you guys
Oh, yeah.
coming out today. It was a really good story. You guys got your episode here today. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And I appreciate you having us. And like I said, like the good thing about like having a podcast or a program like this is sharing that story to people
yeah.
and just tell them like, hey, if there's something that you really want to do, try it. Even if you do it and it fails,
Right.
in the back of your head, you know you did it.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't stay with that what if,
one
right?
thing, one thing that I always say, and I said it on that podcast I told you I did a long time ago. I said it, and I'll say it again. Whatever how many years it is, you're laying down on your deathbed, right? I know it sounds like crazy, but you're laying on your deathbed. You're gonna reflect. You're gonna reflect on everything you ever did, and you might think about the good things you did, but you're most likely gonna think about the things you wish you would have done, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, man, I wish I would have tried that and see what would have happened. Or I wish I would have done that. You're gonna, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it's eliminating that possibility and just doing it. And if you fail, you fail. There's a bunch of successful people that are, super, super successful that have failed. It's comes with winning. You don't win it without. You can't win without losing.
Yeah.
There's no winner without a loser. And that's the truth. And like we talked about earlier, it's always for us been about working. My mom, she also has her own business. She's always showing us work. She'll be working while she's on vacation. She'll be working late at night, whatever. Same thing with my dad. They'll always be working. So for me, that's always been a thing, and it always will be a thing,
Yeah.
But I think showing that story and kind of just sharing that with other people, hopefully if someone's listening or watching, they're like, you know what, I do have an idea. You just scared me with what you said about me on my deathbed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start it tomorrow, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I hope if you have the ability to try to do it, try it. The worst that can happen is that you fail, but you know that you did it,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. Devin, any special words, any special shout outs as well?
Maybe a shout out to my mom. She was always like, one thing that always sticks with me is like she would always tell us never say you can't. So I think that's a big thing that really sticks with me too, is like, if you want to try something, like Aiden said, do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like,
Yeah.
if it fails, it fails. But like, a thing for me is like, you can't, like Aiden said, you can't succeed without failing. You have like, it's a known thing where you have to fail in order to succeed. You can't keep going without taking a step back in anything that you do, or something happens, the good will come.
Yeah, definitely. Any special shout outs before we wrap up today's episode?
I mean, shout out to my parents,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Without them, a lot of stuff wouldn't be possible.
Definitely.
Shout out to my dad taking me to the events when I couldn't take myself. Shout out to my mom for aguantando todas las cajas en la sala.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Big shout out, right?
Yeah. Especially
But-
to your guys' clients.
Yeah,
too.
and
too,
and to our
absolutely,
customers. There's customers in all seriousness. There's customers that have gone to all the big events. There's one specific, Garen, if you're watching, he goes to all the big events. Every C2E2, he's been there, all the big events. So shout out to him. But yeah, I always post. I'm always grateful for everybody that buys stuff from us, even share our posts. I always say to support us or me, you don't have to just buy stuff. You can share the post, like it, screenshot it, send it to a friend, whatever. You don't have to
Recommend it,
necessarily
right.
buy. That goes for me a long way. I always like to see when people like the post or things like that. But yeah, for sure, our customers that go to all the events and stuff like that, I definitely appreciate them. And it's always funny because there's sometimes I'll go to events, like I told you, we'll go back to back, or night and morning, and people are like, "Man, like you're everywhere, huh?" And I'm like, "I
Yeah.
try to be.
Yeah.
I try to be, right? I'm tired, but I try.
Yeah,
I
that's
try.
pretty cool.
There'll be events, Saturday, Sunday, and then the next week Saturday, Sunday. Well, I'll try to be there, but that's how it is. But yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Definitely, to all the people that are out there, to the Funko collectors, share the episode. Check out all the pages. Let's promote the pages. You wanna go first?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's gonna be Styles, STYL, no,
Easy.
easy, and then underscore boutique underscore shy, and then I'm also on TikTok. It's gonna be the same thing, just all together.
All together.
And then for me, I know it's way longer than what he said.
Yeah.
On Instagram, Chi-Town Toys and Collectibles. Facebook, same thing, Chi-Town Toys and Collectibles. I also have a group on Facebook. I always post in there too. TikTok, I think I'm just Chi-Town Toys. Twitter, I'm just Chi-Town Toys. But if you see the logo with the stars and all the colors, the blue and red, that's me.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you'll
check 'em
you'll
out.
see it. But
Yeah. Definitely check the guys out. Always, hit them up, and be, make sure to look at their posts because they put their new stuff going on, the new merchandise coming in. Get yours while it lasts type
Yeah.
stuff
Right.
because sometimes it's only one wave coming in,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then you can't get them
Right.
anymore. They're sold out so much.
Yeah.
It all depends on the manufacturers and stuff like that. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, definitely check them out and check what other expos because it's like there's a lot of conventions out here in the city
Yeah, for
that
sure.
you guys go to and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
be on the lookout definitely.
yeah. As long as they're following like my page or his page, we always
Yeah.
post the events, so that's the best way to be notified, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big thing. So I want to thank everybody that tuned in to listen to us tonight, on a Tuesday. So hopefully you guys had a great time listening to this special episode. We got Devin and Aiden. I want to thank everybody. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as El Chokorreo Podcast. And we'll be putting in our next guests on hopefully by the end of this week, and then also the audio will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts by Thursday or Friday, definitely. So
Okay.
we'll be posting it as well, so you guys can
Awesome.
share it out to all your clients and all the people that have an interest of especially all this stuff going in with small businesses here in the city. So
Yeah.
that would be pretty cool. So want to say special shout out to everybody. Hope everybody has a great night. This was Chi-Town Toys and Collectible and Styles Boutique. Everybody have a good night.
Have a
See
good
you
one,
guys.
guys.